Happy holidays and Merry Christmas. I hope you got everything that you wanted from Santa on Christmas morning. I think the Chiefs got exactly what they wanted on Christmas Day. And how about Andy Reid dressing up as Santa in the locker room? Fun times for the Chiefs. They look great, and I think they look like the team to beat. Kind of what we've been saying. Shout out to EDJ. He's been on the podcast plenty in the last month or two talking about this Chiefs team and the perceived team that they are versus who they actually are. I think they showed that on Christmas Day at Pittsburgh against the Steelers. Good game all in all for the Kansas City Chiefs. Special teams, a little bit of a blunder, but I think that it's up and down with Dave Tobe. I know people, some of the tweets you see, but either way, welcome back to the Papa Show Notes podcast. I am finally back. I guess this whole schedule of podcasting and stuff has been a little sporadic and weird for me, of course, with the holidays coming around. So I'm going to keep on trying to put out stuff when I can. And but either way, I did want to mention a project that I have been working on and will be putting forth this weekend, and that is a gaming channel, Papa Show Gaming. I will be uploading videos to that. I obviously kind of tried some gaming stuff over here on this YouTube channel. If you're not watching on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, the Papa Show YouTube channel, and had the Mizzou Dynasty going for a minute, and as well as the Road to the Show on MLB 24 The Show for a minute as well. So I kind of was just testing, kind of probing for that, seeing how I felt about it. Ended up getting the Elgato capture card, and so I've been working on some gaming content, and I just didn't think it would be right to throw everything on this channel. So I will have a separate channel. I will have a link in the description down below if you want to go check that out. By the time this podcast is up and live, I should have also my gaming, at least a video out gaming wise, but I got a few things that I'm working on. College football, Road to Glory. I asked ChatGPT to make us a prospect. ChatGPT did just that and have an interesting prospect in Jackson Jet Carter. So we're starting our Road to Glory on that. Going to have some Black Ops 6 content as well. Just some multiplayer, maybe a little bit of zombies, things like that. I will be live streaming. I'll be live streaming over on that channel as well as Twitch. As you know, if you've been following along with me, I've been kind of live streaming on Twitch here and there. So I'm going to try to get a little bit more consistent with that, and it'll probably be more gaming content over there, and then, of course, live streaming over on the Pop Show Gaming YouTube channel. So just wanted to get that out of the way and kind of get some, maybe some attention towards it, but just another project of mine. I love Chiefs football. I love gaming, so kind of just turn my hobbies into a little bit of passion projects and stuff. With that being said, smash that subscribe button for me if you have been enjoying the content. We are on the road to 300. We got, 5 days left? Depending on when this comes out. Until the new year, we're 288. We are going to get to that goal of 300. I believe in all of you guys as we grow together and go on this journey with the Kansas City Chiefs as we turn our attention back to the Chiefs. How about this game? Patrick Mahomes, 29 of 38, 320 yards, 3 tutties, no picks. That's my quarterback. Patrick had a game. Running the ball, not a whole lot really. 9 carries, 20 yards for Kareem Hunt, 2 carries for 10 yards with Xavier Worthy. Isaiah Pacheco, of course, left the game, 6 carries for 18 yards. And actually, let me pull that up real quick because I'm not 100% sure any of the injury report. Of course, Chris Jones did not play. And I don't know if it's going to give me what I need to see, honestly. Looking up injury report. Okay, so Mike Pennell left the game, of course. He was questionable. Pacheco dinged his ribs. Looks like a hamstring injury for Mike Pennell. And then Chris Jones, of course, was inactive for the game. We also saw... Man, I could not think of the linebacker's name right now. Swayze Bozeman. He was injured during the Steelers game as well. 11 targets for Travis Kelce, 8 touchdowns. I'm getting ahead of myself thinking. 8 catches, 84 yards, and a touchdown. He becomes the Chiefs' all-time leader in receiving touchdowns, surpassing Tony Gonzalez. Finished it off with a nice dunk. That was awesome to see in the game on Christmas Day. So a lot of fun with that. 9 targets, 8 catches for Xavier Worthy, 79 yards and a touchdown. Justin Watson, he had a big game, just 2 targets, caught both of them, 60 yards, one of them being a touchdown. Hollywood Brown, 7 targets, 4 catches, 46 yards. DeAndre Hopkins, 4 targets, 2 catches, just 7 yards. So a little bit of a, what am I trying to say here? Kind of like taking a step back for DeAndre Hopkins, which is fine, I think, because just trying to get this offense incorrectly, kind of layered how they want it to, and working how they want it to. So I think they look great. I thought the Chiefs looked great, offense and defense. I think that this team is playoff ready. I think that they're going to be the team to beat. I think they're going to be a tough team to beat. And watching what they did on Christmas Day against the Steelers, we've been trying to tell you all year, this team is a lot better than what they're showing week by week, and they go out and prove it. Not to mention, Hollywood Brown, first 2 games, obviously I didn't have a podcast in between to talk about the Texans game, and I was actually driving out of town during that game, so I listened to it on the radio, so I don't have a great visual. I haven't went back and rewatched it yet, but visually speaking of the game, I don't have a real good understanding of really what happened in that game. But just looking at what Hollywood Brown came out and did first game, there was a lot of buzz and talk about how in practice Hollywood Brown and Mahomes have been able to get some good chemistry together, and Patrick Mahomes trusts him. I think that's big. How about that play to Samaje Perine? I mean, that just goes to show the trust that if Mahomes has in you, the kind of stuff that he'll throw out there. Because what a crazy play. I mean, Samaje Perine is on the ground not looking, and Mahomes just says, you know what, we're going for it. We're going to throw it, just kind of throws it out there. Samaje Perine turns around, gets up, catches the ball. Crazy play. Looking at this, though, after this Christmas Day game, of course you have, I think it'll be, let's see, December 29th will be that last game of the year. And so the Chiefs won't play until January 11th or 12th. Getting that bye week in the postseason locked up. Number 1 seed is locked up. And so this is going to give the starters a long break. The starters played the entire game. A lot of people didn't think that they should be out there. But with the amount of time they are going to be off, I didn't mind them staying out there. And honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing them out there for a drive in the Week 18 game against the Broncos. I don't think that it hurts. Treat it like a preseason game. Go out there. Keep your rhythm. Because we've seen, what can happen. And I do believe in the Chiefs 100% in this team, the coaching staff, once they get to the playoffs. But it is just a little nerve-wracking once you get really out of sync, get to that playoff game, and it's like, we got to really figure it out as the game goes on, make some adjustments, get back to where we were type of thing. I don't know, just little thoughts here and there. Let me know in the comments below what you think on that note of having, is there such thing as too much rest going into the playoffs? Either way, I think this team is the scariest team in the NFL. Either, say what you will, but I do think that they are the scariest team in the NFL right now, especially after what we saw on Christmas Day. I think they look well put together, top to bottom. McDuffie had an insane game. The big fumble, the peanut punch. This team, man, we tried to warn you. We really tried to warn you. This team is still the same team they were last year. And you got to think, last year, this team was losing these games. This team lost on Christmas Day last year to the Las Vegas Raiders at home, no less. In 365 days, the Chiefs have lost one time at Buffalo. They also have a win at Buffalo in the playoffs when it matters. I do not really see too much of a threat from the AFC. I think Buffalo is a very good team, but I think their defense, I don't think it's being talked about enough how bad Buffalo's defense has been the last few weeks. I think the stat was 86 points in 2 games before the Patriots game. They struggled against the Patriots. The only other team is Baltimore, I think, out there that I think poses a real threat to the Chiefs in the AFC. I don't know. The playoff picture is going to look interesting, how it shapes up as well, because the Bengals still have an outside shot. The Broncos need to beat the Chiefs. That would eliminate the Bengals, I do believe. It's going to be an interesting Week 18 to see how that shapes out. The NFC is a whole nother story. And talking about, just teams that are a little bit fearful. Obviously, you have the Lions. The Packers, I think, are an interesting team. Although I don't really believe in the Packers personally. I think they're a good team. I don't know if they have the experience and wherewithal to really get there. I think with the Lions having the experience that they had last year in the playoffs, getting that NFC Championship game, having the lead they had, blow it to the 49ers, I think that gives them a little bit of extra hunger and motivation to get back and actually get to the Super Bowl this year. That'd be an interesting game against the Chiefs. It'd be a very interesting game. I do believe in the Super Bowl. Other than that, the Eagles, I don't know. I've been iffy on the Eagles all season. And I just don't think, I don't think Nick Sirianni is a great coach. I think that he's too emotional. I think we've seen that. I think when, things get difficult, I don't think that Nick Sirianni can put it all together. I just don't buy it, and therefore I don't really buy that team. As well as A.J. Brown complaining about targets and stuff while the offense is running smooth through Saquon Barkley, who was an MVP candidate. I just don't think that locker room is together enough to get there and win, personally. I think they could probably get back to the Super Bowl, but I just don't think that they are a team that poses a huge threat to the Chiefs. I think the Lions in the NFC, for me personally, may be that team that I say, okay, this is a team that could go out and beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, possibly. I think that the Vikings are an interesting one because I don't know how much I really believe in the Vikings, like realistically, but I do like that team. You got Jettis, you got Jordan Addison, Darnold's playing great. Hey, go back to earlier this year. I said I thought Darnold was going to have a good year. Now, I never would have predicted the kind of year he actually had, but I did think Darnold was kind of going to turn it around. I thought that offense was going to help him. Kevin O'Connell has done a great job with Sam Darnold. He's done a great job, I'm very impressed with what the Vikings have done. It's a team that I like. And my favorite linebacker out of the draft 2 years ago, Ivan Pace Jr., is also helping anchor that defense these last couple of years. Had one of the best PFF grades for a rookie last year. So the Vikings are an interesting team for me. Fantasy-wise, too, I got Jordan Addison on my Dynasty fantasy team. Shout out to my Fantasy Dynasty team. You are looking at the 2024 champion fantasy manager. Shout out to Ray. Knocked off Ray. Knocked off Randy. What's he take? Tyrone. Shout out Tyrone. In the road to the playoffs. My team was on fire. Scored 200 points. 180 plus. 170 plus in the final championship game. Pulled it off. I don't know how. I honestly still don't know how. But having Josh Allen and James Cook on your fantasy team is awkward as a Chiefs fan, but it worked out during the playoffs, although Josh Allen dropped the ball against the Patriots, and he put up like less than 10 points, I want to say. James Cook bailed me out in that one, a little less than 30, but a little bit of fantasy talk, which I might get more into fantasy talk next year. So let me know in the comments below how you feel about some fantasy football getting thrown into the podcast a little bit, or some more stuff there here as we round out the season. So good luck to you in your championship game if you guys have not played yet in fantasy football. But these Chiefs, man, I really do think these Chiefs are primed for a third straight. It's obviously the road is never easy. You're going to have to play a lot of tough teams to get back to it, but I do think the Chiefs are on the right path and same trajectory that they've been the last couple of years. And, it's kind of like that meme of, a Chiefs game of like, oh, hey, excited for the Chiefs game. Oh, man, this is the most stressful thing ever. Boom, Chiefs win. And I feel like it's like the same cycle, but for, the Chiefs are terrible. This is a fraudulent team. This team's not as good as we think it is. Then all of a sudden have a statement game like the Chiefs had on Christmas Day. And it's like, okay, never mind. Maybe this team's pretty good. But are they good enough to win a Super Bowl? I don't think so. The Bills are so good. Every year. The Bills are so good. Oh, they lost to the Chiefs. Dang. All right, we'll get them next year. Oh, the Ravens or whatever team is hot. But the Bills are always up there every year where it's just like, oh, this Chiefs team can't beat the Bills this year. Oh, this year's not going to be last year. Oh, the Bills are at home this year. The Bills are definitely going to win at Orchard Park. They don't have to go to Arrowhead this year. Didn't work out too well. And now the AFC runs through Arrowhead again. The Ravens, another team, which I do believe in the Ravens more than I think any other team in the AFC. I think I already said that. But again, can the Chiefs beat this team? Is this finally Lamar's year? Is he going to get over the hump? Is he going to get to his first Super Bowl? Oh, man. Chiefs are that good. Wow. Get to the Super Bowl. Insert NFC team here. Oh, they have a better roster. They're better. This is just a better team than the Chiefs. The Chiefs are finally, their luck's going to run out. I just don't, they just can't beat this team. Oh, the Chiefs won again. Another Super Bowl. Oh, back to back. That's where we're at right now. Right before you get to the making the Chiefs underdogs in the postseason, which I'll be very interested to see if that happens. I would assume, I guess I won't assume because they will be in Kansas City, here in Kansas City. So I just almost feel like Buffalo is going to be the team that they're going to make the Chiefs underdogs against. Although I think it's harder to make those betting lines when you're playing in Kansas City. Just the environment. So it's the hardest place to play in the NFL by far. The loudest stadium in the league. I mean, it's a different beast. And anyone you hear talk about it, coaches, players alike, there's no place like Arrowhead to play. And it makes it tough on the opposing quarterback. So we will see. Excited. Let me know your comments below on the Chiefs and how you think, this season really shaped out. I think there's a lot of positives, even looking forward, not even just this postseason, but down the line. I'm very impressed with Xavier Worthy and, needed his time to develop. I think he's going to develop into, a solid wide receiver. And I think the receiving core, it's a lot to talk about after this season because, of course, you're going to lose D-Hop, you're going to lose Hollywood Brown. It's just a one-year deal. So that's going to be an interesting point, talking point, I think, in the offseason. But for now, we are looking forward to the playoffs, seeing who that first matchup will be and who is even going to make it into the playoffs there in the final week of the season. We will have to find out. Is it the Broncos? Is it the Bengals? Do the Dolphins find their way in? I think the Colts are still kind of in there outside looking in. Obviously the Chargers, Ravens, Broncos are all the teams that would be in today if the season ended today. So I guess we still have a couple games left. The Chiefs played on a Wednesday, so my mind is just like, I don't know what the hell's going on. We still have a Thursday night game to play tonight. Hopefully tonight as you're listening or watching this, that this is out before that game. I'm recording Thursday afternoon right now, so we still got games on Saturday, I believe, Sunday, so we still have the rest of this week to go, and then we have a whole slew of games the following week. So we'll see how things shape out this weekend. as well. I'm going to look at the schedule real quick. Just in general to see kind of what we're looking at. Seahawks play the Bears in the Thursday night game. Chargers and the Patriots. So that's a big game for the Chargers going to New England. Broncos, Bengals. So I would say what I'm assuming, and this is me just looking at schedules, so I'm not really looking at any of the standings or anything. Bengals are favorites at home, but if the Broncos can go in and get a win over the Bengals, I'm assuming they clinch. I mean, they would clinch, and I think eliminate the Bengals at that point. Jets go to Buffalo to play. Any other games that have significant impact? Let's see. Dolphins are on the road at the Browns. That's going to be a must-win for the Dolphins. And then the Colts are on the road against the Giants, obviously, another must-win. So the Bengals do have the toughest matchup. They're at least at home, but they do have the toughest matchup out of all these teams. But yeah, if the Bengals were to lose and then you get a Colts win and a Dolphins win, I mean, that is going to all but seal it up for the Bengals. Right now, there's an outside chance that they can make the playoffs. But the Broncos could eliminate them, and that game will be Saturday. That's the afternoon game. That'll be the NFL Network trio of games. At noon, you got Chargers at Patriots. 3:30, you got Broncos at Bengals. And then 7 p.m., you have Cardinals at Rams, which should be an interesting game. The fact that Rams have found their way to a 9-6 season really kind of surprises me, but exciting weekend of football. Nonetheless, AFC playoff picture shaping up to be very interesting indeed, as well as this MVP race. As we'll get into that for a second before I get into anything else, let's talk about this. Lamar Jackson, 4 carries, 87 yards, 10 of 1,568 yards, 2 touchdowns on Christmas Day against the Texans. 31-2 is what they pull off. The Ravens defense looks absolutely lights out in this game. The Texans are struggling heading into the final bit of the season. Thoughts and prayers with Tank Dell as well. You know, I know that was a nasty injury. I luckily have not seen it again because I listened to that game on the radio. I was driving, heading down to see some family for Christmas, and I'm kind of glad I didn't see it because I've heard it was just absolutely terrible. So I don't know. The Texans team is a weird team that maybe they can figure it out once they get to the playoffs, but I just don't have a ton of faith in that like I do a team like the Chiefs. And this is one thing why is, you know, you can call it biasy, and, you know, obviously if you look at my background, look at the hat I'm wearing, obviously I'm a Chiefs fan, diehard Chiefs fan. But we have history to look back on, right? This team is a team that doesn't look great in the regular season a lot of times, and then all of a sudden it's a completely different team in the playoffs. The last 2 years have been more true to that than any, because going into where they won, shout out to this team, they won me some money with a little parlay I put together to win the Super Bowl, and this was a couple of weeks before the season ended, and there was pretty good odds on it. I think I threw like $20 down on the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. They won the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes wins MVP, wins Super Bowl MVP. And again, even going back to just odds and the beginning of the season, when people were losing their mind about now talking about the MVP, that Patrick Mahomes was even, like, the odds were in his favor. Look at that year. Patrick Mahomes did not start off having a good year. Really cleaned up a lot of things, ended up throwing for a ton of yards. I think that was the year he had his second 5,000-yard year. And ends up winning the MVP. Ends up winning the Super Bowl MVP. We're going off history. This is the thing, is that we've seen these things happen. Last year is the same thing. I don't know how many times we got to talk about Christmas Day last year. This team did not look like a team that could win it all, at all. And then all of a sudden, you see them play in the playoffs, and it's like, okay, this is a completely different team. So the MVP race is pretty much a two-headed race right now between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. I thought EDJ was crazy a few weeks ago bringing up Saquon Barkley. on this podcast saying that he was a legit MVP candidate, but I really do think that Saquon Barkley at this point is a legit MVP candidate. If he breaks Eric Dickerson's record, in my opinion, he's the MVP. I get it, it's a quarterback award, but we got to be real about it. I mean, breaking Eric Dickerson's record would be huge. I mean, that record is held for so long. And I get there's an extra game and yada, yada, whatever you want to say. Either way, if he breaks the record, he's MVP in my book. Other than that, look at the numbers. I mean, that's all you really got to do. And efficiency. Now, I will give it to Josh Allen. Josh Allen has had an amazing year. He's limited the turnovers. He's done exactly what he needed to do. And that's why we are having this conversation right now. Josh Allen has done everything that he's needed to do this season to limit turnovers and take that next step forward. But Lamar's been better. And this is one thing last year where and I've seen a lot of people say, oh, whoever's got the worst stats obviously wins the MVP. No, because last year when we're looking at it, when you look at the stats, yeah, Josh Allen had more yards. Josh Allen had more touchdowns. Josh Allen had a ton more turnovers. Nearly double the amount of turnovers that Lamar Jackson had last year. That's the difference. The efficiency in being a Chiefs fan, I feel like I'm very qualified to talk about this. Being efficient, and this doesn't go to a Patrick Mahomes conversation when I say the Chiefs, just because, just in general, in the game of football, any game that you're playing, efficiency drives opportunity, I think. And so the more opportunity you have to score, to win the game, just to put yourself in a good position. This is why the Chiefs win all these one-score games. They're efficient. They go out there and they play efficient. It gives them more opportunity. Usually they have the ball last in these games because they're efficient. Lamar Jackson is efficiency to a T. He is the most efficient quarterback in the NFL. The most efficient. I mean, 10 of 15, 168 yards. Only 5 incompletions. 20% of the passes he threw were touchdowns. I mean, 2 out of 10 completions, touchdowns. Only 5 incompletions, 168 yards. And I mean, you can say what you will about, yardage and whatnot. But again, it leads back to that efficiency. Running for 87 yards. He's been using his legs. It doesn't hurt that you have Derrick Henry. And the argument with Derrick Henry now is what I want to bring up. Is I see a lot of Bills fans out there saying, well, he has Derrick Henry. The Bills have James Cook. And I don't know if you know about the kind of season that James Cook is having right now. But I do because he's on my fantasy team and he just won me a championship. James Cook is putting up like 25 to 30 points a game, fantasy-wise. I think the stat was like 11 carries for 100 yards and a touchdown last week. I'm not looking at it right now, but James Cook and Derrick Henry are the 2 best running backs in the league right now, not named Saquon Barkley. They are easily the top 2 in the AFC. And honestly, if Josh Allen didn't vulture so many touchdowns from the 1-yard line, because that's another thing about last year, is like when you put into perspective the touchdowns Josh Allen had, 11 out of 15 rushing touchdowns for Josh Allen came from a push play at the 1-yard line. It's just not impressive. It's not exciting. It's not. It doesn't give you style points in the MVP race. It doesn't do any of that. Because you could still just hand the ball off and James Cook could have had 11 more touchdowns last year. It's not impressive. Let's stop acting like it is. I don't know. But that argument is so silly to me just because James Cook is in Buffalo, having an amazing season right now. And we're going to talk about how Derrick Henry disqualifies Lamar Jackson from winning MVP. That is insanity. Insanity. So, at the current moment, my MVP personally would be Lamar Jackson. Especially if he continues to lead them to the playoffs. Well, obviously he's going to lead them to the playoffs, but if he ends up winning the division, because the Ravens are now 11-5 and the Steelers are 10-6. If the Ravens win this division, Lamar Jackson is the MVP, hands down. And unless Josh Allen just does something insane the next 2 weeks. He's better than Josh Allen. He is better than Josh Allen. One more time for the people in the back. Lamar Jackson is better than Josh Allen. A better quarterback. He is better running the ball. He is better throwing the ball. All the stats prove it. If you want to go back to last year, I'll argue with you all day. Oh, all the touchdowns. That's cool. You can have a lot of touchdowns. But you need a lot of touchdowns because your quarterback's turning the ball over left and right. That is the reason why Josh Allen had so many touchdowns, because he had to. Lamar Jackson doesn't have to have that many touchdowns because he doesn't turn the ball over like that. He's efficient. There's more opportunity out there. And then, I feel like it kind of goes back to Josh Allen. Why does this Bills defense break down in the postseason every year? When Josh Allen's had a top 10 defense in the playoffs most of his career. I know I'm getting off topic right now and talking history, but I do think that Josh Allen has a big part in the reason why the Bills lose in the playoffs, and not by his play necessarily, because he does step it up in the playoffs. I will give him that. But how much more are you putting your defense on the field? How much more are you, aiding to, and what a change of, you throw a pick, all of a sudden it's like, oh man, that defense has to run out there. It's not easy to do. So getting back to just this year, I still think Lamar Jackson has outplayed Josh Allen. And really at the end of the day, a lot of people are bringing up records as well. And I get there's 2 games that separate them if the Bills end up winning this weekend. But, what Lamar Jackson did to the Houston Texans yesterday, had a great game. Remember, Josh Allen went 9 for 30 throwing the ball against the same Texans team. We want to talk wins and losses. It's not like there's much of a difference. Allen struggled against the Patriots. Not a good team. One of the worst teams in the league. Struggled mightily against the Patriots. I think it's close. Either way, I think it is very close between the two. Between the 3 really at the top with Saquon as well. But as of right now, my MVP personally is Lamar Jackson. Let me know in the comments below who your MVP as of right now. Unless you are part of Bills Mafia, I don't really care about your opinion. But let me know in the comments below who your MVP is at this moment in time, and who you think will eventually be the MVP altogether. So, with that being said, I feel like I've rambled here long enough. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas to you guys out there and to the kingdom. I really appreciate all the support, especially the end of the year. You start reflecting, you start looking back at with the YouTube channel, a lot of analytics and things like that. This year has been such a great success for me, and I really appreciate you guys because it's been you guys that have done that. I've went from like a few subscribers to where we're at 288. I think like 240 of them have come from this year, and the Wanye Morris film review. So, you guys have been watching my stuff and enjoying it. Most of you guys that have been watching the content are not subscribed. I think it's like 95% or something like that. So make sure you smash that subscribe button. We're on the road to 300 subscribers. I want to hit that before 2025. So if you could help me out and let's grow together and continue to grow this channel, because I'm just here to talk ball, break down some film, whatever, football related. Obviously over the summer, me and Bryce, we talked a little bit of baseball. We talked some MMA as well. Of course, that's very near and dear to my heart personally, which I need to get more on MMA content a little bit more and talk a little bit more about it. But again, just wanted to say thank you to everybody out there. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and until next time I get on here, we'll see you next time. How about those number 1 seed Kansas City Chiefs?